upload. Alright, game is now published. Wonder how long that took. Oh. So my first completed game in Pico 8 took about 2 weeks to complete. For a really tiny game, 2 weeks feels way too long. Granted, most of the time was me watching tutorials, but I think the lack of a deadline was also a factor. Of course, making a game with a short deadline is extremely difficult, but having a little pep talk, I figured, why not? Looking around, I wanted to find something that could motivate me to finish a game with a deadline. Good enough. The plan initially was to start making a game 2 days before Valentine's Day, but I didn't want to wait 2 weeks before working on it, so I just decided to push the challenge to the nearest weekend. So I had the start of Saturday to the end of Sunday to make a Valentine's game. Browsing YouTube for inspiration, I noticed projects where people would code a web page where they asked if they would be their Valentine. So I figured I'd do something like that, but as a game. Making what's basically a confession game does come with some factors to consider. Anyone should be able to play this game and complete it, so that means simple controls, a linear map, and no loose state. The loop I came up was this. The player would navigate through a couple of rooms, pick up items, and if everything is collected, the last room would unlock the question, "Will you be my Valentine?" With a yes and no choice. I don't want to spend too much time thinking about the concept, so I just logged that in and went for the fantasy setting. The player would play as a wizard going around collecting ingredients for a spell. Once all the ingredients are collected and the player interacts with the cauldron, the question would pop up. Yes would complete the spell and no will ruin the spell and the rest of your week. It's a pretty balanced outcome if you ask me. I set up a basic layout of the game. The mage will have to collect 4 ingredients, each in a different biome. So the map is essentially 5 16x16 screens side by side. I wanted each biome to be completely different from each other, so I sketched out a path based on the ingredients. I know the silk biome looks like a candy cane, but it's actually a fungus. Don't ask me why it's a fungus. Thanks to Pico 8's flex system, making the pickup logic was fairly easy. But the problem came when I tried to implement the text. You see, I wanted a unique text screen to appear for each ingredient as a sort of build up to the spell. But since the flag treats all the pickups as the same, there needs to be another way the ingredients can be identified. So I used the sprite number since that had a unique value. And just when I thought that was the most difficult part of the project, they showed up. I spent nearly 3 hours on the yes and no portion of the game. I didn't expect it to be so complicated, but when it finally worked, the feeling was just... With the core gameplay done, I was able to focus on the overall look of the game. I started with the water portion. Just having the player cross a bridge felt too dull, so I added 3 bridges the player could choose from to cross, with one having the ingredient. Since players can't see the next zone, it's a bit of luck for first timers. After test playing a few times, I realized that players might not know that they're supposed to collect these ingredients. To nudge the players to look for these items, I added a flashing animation to the pickups. It's not much, but I feel it's better than a text screen just telling players what to do. Added some art afterwards for a couple of the text screen and a main menu. It took me a few hours to design the main menu, trying to add fonts and animation. It's pretty simple, but I'm proud of it. Sprinkled some sound effects in the game, and I thought about adding music, but I remembered my previous game. Yeah, we're gonna skip music for this one. You can try a spell for 2 on itch.io. The link to the game is in the description. Just don't blame me if you get rejected. Making a game in 48 hours is definitely no easy task, especially with other commitments, but I'm glad I tried it out. It helped me set a benchmark on my current skill set. Imagine if I had made a Pico 8 game in 2 weeks instead.